work at McDonald. I never did. I'm running against somebody that said she did, but it turned out to be a totally phony story. So.
Donald Trump works the drive-thru and the left loses its ever-loving mind. Welcome to a busy broadcast week here on the Dan O'Donnell Show. We are now just 15 days to Election Day. We are on the eve of early voting, and we are introducing, once again, the state's largest early vote drive. This time, we have the backing of WISN. We are all working in conjunction here amongst our talk show hosts, Mark Belling, Jay Weber, Vicki McKenna, all of the voices you hear on the Friday afternoon show. Who can forget about Ben Yount in the morning, the WISN morning briefing? We will explain just what's going on in a couple of minutes. It is the WISN Early Vote Project. And the state's largest early vote drive is a big part of it. Before we get to anything else, we've got former Governor Scott Walker joining us in about a half hour to discuss the proposed Waukesha County sales tax that goes before a vote of the full county board tomorrow evening. So you've only got 2 days to let your representative, let your supervisor know if you support this or if you, as I suspect most of you do, oppose it. You might recall late last week we had on Waukesha County Executive Paul Farrow, who specifically cited Walker's term as county executive in Milwaukee as a sort of justification for proposing a sales tax there. Fall Fortune cash contest, though, before any of it on a jam-packed show. The word this hour is money, M-O-N-E-Y, money. You've got until 55 past the hour to go to our website and enter the keyword money to enter the contest for this hour. If your entry is picked at random, you will win $1,000. In fact, we had winners on back-to-back days last week. One in the 9 o'clock hour on Thursday, one in the 10 o'clock hour on Friday. Let's make it 3 straight days of winners. I can't wait, and I cannot wait, not just for you folks to win, but for us to take back Wisconsin and take back the White House. What you need to do is to bank your vote as early as possible. I have got an exclusive story that will make you a little apprehensive about who's being allowed to register to vote. Kudos to an eagle-eyed poll worker who noticed something that could very easily allow non-citizens to get registered to vote. So for anybody who is working the polls on Election Day or working the early vote, you need to be watching for something when people present their driver's licenses, and it's very, very easy to miss. But I'm excited, because what we can do to thwart any attempt to cheat, to thwart any attempt to just stuff ballot boxes or get the new nation of illegal immigrants that Biden and Harris have brought into this country over the past 3.5 years, to just get registered, get voting, and just steal a legitimate election, as many people believe happened in 2020. The easiest way to do that is to vote early. The easiest way to do that is to get so many votes already banked that it's nearly impossible for there to be cheating. Oh, sure, there will be cheating, but outcome determinative cheating is nigh on impossible if we have such an insurmountable lead that it's impossible to make up the difference. I have long spoke of what I call the Democrats' fraud margin. That's the margin of votes that Republicans need to win by, lest they are susceptible to fraud eating up their legitimate victories. Don't get me started, and please, 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 libs, call up and challenge me on there being no evidence of Democrats stealing elections. Please, I am begging you. Remember, we always have open debate here on the Dan O'Donnell Show. You get 2 minutes to make your case. I get 2 minutes for rebuttal. Then you will get an additional minute for what's called Sir Rebuttal. And then I get to rebut your rebuttal. And we'll keep going like that. If I feel the discussion is entertaining, worthwhile to a wide listener base, we'll keep going. But please argue the fact that Democrats have never cheated in elections ever, ever, ever before. We know they do. They always have. Near as I can figure, and near as anyone else in the know that I've talked to over the past 4 to 6 years can figure, is the Democrats' fraud margin is somewhere in the neighborhood of 1% of the total vote. That they can probably manufacture close to 1%. And by that I mean just ballot harvesting from people who aren't actually filling out ballots. You just go and collect them, fill them out yourself. We know this has happened in plenty of other states, and we know it's been going on in Wisconsin. There was the issue of nursing homes that this radio show broke 4 years ago, led to a massive investigation in Racine County, which of course didn't result in any criminal charges. We have got evidence of that happening again. You have also got the people who aren't actually eligible voters, non-citizens. We know all this happens. But we know it only totals up to a maximum, I think, of about 1% of the vote. If the election was held today, based on how early voting is going in other states, based on polls, which of course are just a snapshot in time, but most importantly, based on how the two candidates and how all of their allies are behaving, I do believe Donald Trump is outside of the fraud margin in the only 3 states that currently matter: Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. It was no coincidence that Trump worked at a McDonald's in Pennsylvania yesterday, coincidentally, or maybe not, on Kamala Harris's 60th birthday. This, yes, media people, was a political stunt. That's what political people do. Stunts to draw attention to issues. Remember Kamala Harris, or excuse me, AOC, down at the border in that parking lot weeping while wearing all white? It became a very viral meme in conservative circles. That was a political stunt to draw attention to the Obama kids in cages. Oh, wait, no, they were Trump kids in cages. The only theatrics and crying happened because Trump was president. Trump works the fried counter at McDonald's. He's serving up stuff. The left loses its minds. We've got great examples of that coming up in the 10 o'clock hour. That signals to me a campaign that is confident, that is loose, that is having fun. Whereas Kamala has gone increasingly, what's the word they always use to describe Donald Trump's speeches? Dark. Trump will destroy democracy. Trump will destroy America. Look no further than that Brett Baer interview, which was just a mashup of her saying Donald Trump for about 17 minutes. That's the behavior of a candidate who believes she is losing. Moreover, huge tell, Senator Bob Casey, in brand new TV advertising just released a couple of days ago. He's running for re-election in Pennsylvania. He's a Democrat. He has a graphic on screen that says Casey sided with Trump on trade. That is about the biggest tell of all. He knows Donald Trump is very popular in his state. He knows Trump is very likely to carry that state. But let's not get carried away in getting overconfident. The work begins tomorrow. Oh, sure, people have been sending me the texts and emails that they have filled out and turned in their mail-in ballots. But tomorrow, early voting in person begins. And we begin the state's largest early vote drive as part of the WISN Early Vote Project. Clearly, Democrats have seen early voting as a massive advantage for them in the last couple of election cycles. Believe it or not, as recently as 2016, Republicans did better in early voting. Wouldn't you know it, Republicans gained a surprise victory in the presidential race in an upset nobody saw coming in an environment that looks very similar to this one. When we go to the polls tomorrow, and I am encouraging every single one of my listeners to go tomorrow and just get it done. Show the rest of this country, because the rest of this country is watching, especially in Republican areas. But in Democrat areas, if you're a Republican voter, if you're a conservative, head to the polls as well, because it'll give them the false sense of security that in Milwaukee County and Dane County, oh man, we're building up a big lead. But remember, the Wisconsin Democratic Party is very concerned about all sorts of non-traditional Trump votes in Milwaukee and Madison. But show up all across the state, because people are tracking this, and more importantly, the two presidential campaigns and political parties are tracking this, because instead of just relying on polls right now, early voting is underway in every single state and Washington, D.C. We can now track actual votes. And campaigns have now made it a science to try to figure out exactly where those ballots are coming from and exactly who is voting for whom. Make no mistake, Kamala's behavior is being led by what she's seeing in the polls, getting increasingly dark, increasingly desperate to paint Trump as this awful threat to humanity, who's also smiling and waving at the drive-thru of a Pennsylvania McDonald's. Square that one with him being like Hitler, Mussolini, and Stalin, as a piece in The Atlantic called him earlier this weekend. But the political world is watching. If Trump wins Wisconsin, given that Kamala has all but abandoned Georgia, Arizona, North Carolina, and even Nevada, the election is over. Donald Trump will win. If Trump wins any of the three upper Midwestern swing states, which all of the focus is now on, the map has shrunk considerably for Harris. She needs to pull what essentially amounts to an inside straight. She needs to win Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. Trump just needs to win one. You can help him do it. All you need to do, show up in person tomorrow. Early vote. And let me know you did, so we can get as accurate a count as humanly possible. Excuse me. Producer Dave has been tasked with trying to add up as many of the votes. We know it's not an exact count because there are so many. There are probably going to be tens of thousands. But I want our listener base, I want Dan Nation to do its part, to do every single thing possible to get Trump elected. So here's how it works. Show up, vote, take your significant other, take your adult children. Let me know after you vote. Send a picture of your I voted sticker. Tell me exactly who voted. Hey, Dan, just got done early voting. My wife, me, my son, and my daughter. We'll count those. Shoot me a text on the adventknows.com talk and text line, 414-799-1130 or 1-800-838-9476. You can email me directly, dod@iheartmedia.com. I'll be checking Facebook messages and tweets as well, at Dan O'Donnell Show on X, facebook.com/Dan O'Donnell Show. You can text in, email, Facebook message, not just during the show, and I will read a whole lot of these texts to try to inspire other people to take part. But you can text me 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We will get those counted. Once you're done early voting, then what I want you to do is text friends who you know are conservatives, who you know will vote for Trump, but maybe are waiting until Election Day. Don't leave it to chance. Don't leave it to chance. There are more people than you might think, as producer Dave is screaming in my ear, who just need a little push, who might not actually vote at all if not for you. You listening to this program means you are more invested in politics than probably 99% of other people out there. That means other people in your social circle look to you as the expert on politics. Believe it or not, you have a huge sphere of influence that you don't even know about. Maybe a buddy you go golfing with. Hey, you want to play 9? Let's go stop. My treat. Let's go stop and vote first. Maybe it's a fantasy football text chain that you're on. Heaven knows I get a whole lot of texts about fantasy football during this very radio show. Say, hey guys, anyone want to go out to lunch? I'd love to treat. Come out and early vote. This is not election bribery, as I'm sure is going to be screamed. It's socializing. It is doing what the left has tried to do through varying legal means, leveraging your connections to try to get people not just voting for Trump, but voting as early as possible for Trump. The reason for this, a lot of people don't seem to understand, or maybe don't want to understand, is that you don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. You just don't. And moreover, you really don't know what tomorrow is going to bring for somebody else. Why not get that vote banked now? Packers got a huge win yesterday. My goodness, is the curse lifted. The Packers can finally kick a field goal. Brandon McManus signed midweek, kicks the game winner on Sunday. Lambeau Field goes nuts. Imagine if the Packers just scored in the last 5 minutes of the game. Imagine if Houston got a 17-0 lead. They just built up their lead. If you've ever gone on ESPN as you're following a game, ESPN will do live probability of which team is going to win. Guess which team has a much higher probability of winning when they score first. If you build up a big lead, you have an enormous chance of winning the football game. For too long, Republicans have put themselves in a massive hole by only scoring in the fourth quarter, by only scoring after the 2-minute warning in the fourth quarter. Democrats have created for themselves an election month, not election day, election month. We can beat them at their own game, and we can force them, get them to beg us to go back to Election Day if we show them that in this election cycle, we will destroy them at their own game. State's largest early vote drive begins tomorrow, right here on The Dan O'Donnell Show.
Eric Hovde owns a $3 billion California bank. That's right, he owns it. And Hovde owns a $7 million California beachfront home. No wonder Eric Hovde's proposed spending $4 trillion in new tax breaks for super rich guys like himself. That's trillion with a T. What's his plan to pay for all those tax giveaways? Hovde's plan would slash Medicare 25%, slash veterans 40%, slash Social Security by 28%. Eric Hovde's plan would cost Social Security beneficiaries $500 a month, $6,000 a year. It's outrageous. Eric Hovde's plan: new tax breaks for the rich and devastating cuts for the rest of us. Now we know what's wrong with Eric Hovde. He's definitely not for us.
I'm Tammy Baldwin, running for Senate, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Tammy Baldwin for Senate.
Hey, you. Daydreaming about that perfect house again? Hi, it's John Reeds from Great Midwest Bank. And whether your dream includes buying or building or renovating your current home, I'm happy to report that mortgage rates are finally starting to turn around. So make those dreams a reality with a custom-fit Great Midwest Bank mortgage product. We've been serving Southeast Wisconsin homeowners for nearly 90 years. Find a local experienced loan officer at greatmidwestbank.com. We can't wait to get started. Great Midwest Bank, your simply local equal housing lender.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Wisconsin's changing seasons are a thing of beauty, except for that ugly energy bill. Hi, this is Terry Ludwig, owner of All American Window and Door Company. You know, you have a decision to make. Give your money to the utility company all winter, or make a remodeling investment now that cuts heating and cooling costs for years to come. Now that's a thing of beauty. Visit our showroom on Mequon Road in Germantown. All American Window and Door Company, 262-255-7170. Estimates are free.
Be greeted by an owner at America's largest employee-owned jewelry store.
Welcome to Kessler's.
That's right. We are in the Halloween spirit here on the Dan O'Donnell Show. All Halloween bumper music from now until the 31st. Remixed classics like the Ghostbusters theme, Thriller, spooky, scary skeletons even. Here on the Dan O'Donnell Show. Also, we are starting the state's largest early vote drive tomorrow. But already people want to get in on the action. Just since I started talking about this, producer Dave, I want you to make sure you're counting. We had about 25 different texts within about 5-6 minutes, and they're still coming in, people saying that they dropped off their early votes. I've got a great text here. Dan, I keep hearing Harris can only win if she gets Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. My concern is that these are all states that demonstrated they were very capable of finding the votes they needed in 2020 while everyone was asleep, and all three have Democrat governors, and Wisconsin and Michigan have Democrat secretaries of state. A quick caveat, the Secretary of State has nothing to do with voting in Wisconsin. It's the Wisconsin Elections Commission, also essentially run by Democrats. With a compliant news media, how can you feel confident that they will not cheat the vote as much as they need to in order to flip those states? I can't be confident. What I can be confident in is if we are outside their fraud margin, i.e. the number of ballots. Remember, this eventually becomes about how many ballots can you chase, how many ballots can you invent. If the number is 250,000, that becomes a very tall order. In addition, this isn't 2020. Donald Trump, I would argue, was less popular in the election of 2020 than he ever was, including 2016. Now he's more popular than he ever was. This means the number of legitimate Trump votes are going to be much bigger. And remember, as unpopular as Trump was, as much cheating, as much shenanigans, remember, I only focus, I'm not talking about Dominion voting machines or anything I can't prove. What I can prove, and if you're looking for a great book on what actually happened to rig the election, read Molly Hemingway's book on it. I'm quoted extensively. In fact, I was sort of her Wisconsin consultant. Molly is a great friend, loyal listener, as much as she can, actually. She's told me during the RNC that she listens if she's ever in Wisconsin and tries to keep tabs. She and I become pretty good friends, actually, as much as you can be with somebody who lives in, I believe she's in the D.C. area, working as an editor of The Federalist. She brought me on to write occasional columns. She's about as well-versed on this as possible. She and I agree there is a finite amount of cheating that you can do. And as much as there was in 2020, Biden only won by 45,000 votes in Wisconsin, Arizona, and Georgia. Harris has all but given up on Arizona and Georgia. That should tell you something about where she thinks the Trump vote is at. She's not going to Phoenix. She's not going to Atlanta. She is parking in Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. We're going to step aside for a break. When we come back, we're going to step away from national politics and talk local politics. The people of Waukesha County are facing a huge effort to ram through as quickly as possible a 0.5% county sales tax. They introduced this measure without ever really talking about it before on October 3rd. It passed the necessary committees about a week and a half later. Tomorrow it goes for a vote before the full county board. Probably the most famous Waukesha County resident will join me next, former Governor Scott Walker, to discuss the Waukesha County sales tax. You're listening to the Dan O'Donnell Show. We'll be right back. Hey, Dan O'Donnell here for the Lynch family of dealerships. I've been a big proponent of Lynch for a while now. Here's why. They're literally a family dealership and have been since 1957. That's increasingly rare in the dealership world today, but the Lynch family employs 500 plus people who are all dedicated to taking care of you. They've got a wide selection of new and used vehicles, extended service department hours for early drop-offs and late pickups, and most importantly, they're proud supporters of our local communities and schools. They also stand behind what they sell with Lynch-certified used vehicles, including a 168-point inspection to determine eligibility, an unparalleled 90-day or 3,000-mile certified guarantee, and a 10-day 500-mile exchange policy. And when you pair this with the Lynch Protected program, they cover your paint, your windshield, and your tires. It's easy to see why you should consider Lynch. Check them out today at shoplynch.com.
Whether it was from a burn, heat, water, or a candle wax spill, if you have a great piece of wood furniture that has a damaged top, don't worry, because if we have to, we can refinish tops only. Other places may say you need to refinish the whole piece, but we can do better than that. So don't let your great piece go to waste. If it's just the top you need refinished, or for jobs of any size, by golly, it's Mullally. Mullally Furniture Finishing and Repair. Serving everywhere. Quality counts. MULLALY finishing.com. He was told it would cost him $1,000 to refinish his chair. But when it was done, he'd be able to sell it for at least twice that. Only to find out that he paid more to refinish the chair than it was actually worth. You gotta watch out for dishonest people out there. But not over here. With over 50 years of experience, we'll give you a good idea of the value of your piece and whether it's worth refinishing. So for honest answers, by golly, it's Mullally. Mullally Furniture Finishing and Repair. We're no job's too small. Serving everywhere. Quality counts.
Questions you might hear a lot this fall. Will my team make the playoffs? How much snow are we getting this winter? And whatever happened to Tammy Baldwin? After 25 years in D.C., Baldwin sides with the extreme left. Baldwin voted to give nearly $1 billion in COVID relief money to criminals in prison, even the Boston Marathon bomber. That's nuts. And she supports forcing women's domestic violence shelters to admit biological men who claim to be women. Baldwin even backed puberty blockers and sex change surgeries for minor children in Wisconsin. So here's one more question. Now that Baldwin's gone so far left, why should we keep her in the Senate? It's time to replace Tammy Baldwin. Senate Leadership Fund paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. www.senateleadershipfund.org.
Bob Tarantino here for EasyHomeBidder.com. A 62 Ferrari sold for $52 million and a 1955 Mercedes sold for $142 million, with both buyers and sellers excited to win. Want to win selling your home? Want to win buying your home? Only EasyHomeBidder.com guarantees maximum sales exposure and maximum buying opportunity. Sell or buy real estate, your big win is waiting at EasyHomeBidder.com. That's EasyHomeBidder.com. Real estate for winners, EasyHomeBidder.com. That's easyhomebidder.com.
As these autumn days grow shorter and cooler, treat yourself to some brightness and warmth as Jean-Marie Tsaitouni leads the Milwaukee Symphony Orchestra and Chorus in an all-French program October 25th and 26th. Lily Boulanger's colorful tone poem of a spring morning opens these concerts, and you'll also hear the rich, atmospheric On the Borders of the Storm by the young French composer Camille Papin. Plus, soprano Joel Harvey will be the soloist in two works, Ravel's interpretation of Scheherazade and Poulenc's Gloria, a work that manages to combine sardonic wit with the sacred. Jean-Marie Tsaitouni leads Poulenc's Gloria, October 25th and 26th at the Bradley Symphony Center. Call the box office now for tickets at 414-291-7605 or visit mso.org.
You know, the big wireless companies want you to overpay for data that you don't need, but you don't have to settle for that with Pure Talk. Well, you get to choose how much data that you actually want. And for $25 a month, you'll get unlimited talk, unlimited text. You're going to get mobile hotspot, 5 gigs of data. Go with Pure Talk, and you get to choose how much data you actually want. Just dial pound 250, say the keyword save now, and if you do it now, you'll save an additional 50% off your first month from Pure Talk.
Cybersecurity Awareness Month is still going strong, and LifeLock has a message about phishing. The scams cyber criminals use to trick victims into allowing access to their devices so they can steal your personal information. Being aware of potential phishing scams is one way to help protect your personal information. LifeLock alerts you to more uses of your personal information and fixes identity theft issues that arise. Start protecting your identity with a 30-day free trial at LifeLock.com. Use my first name, Clay, as your promo code. Terms apply.
A wicked good time is waiting for you now inside the free iHeart app, and it starts with commercial-free Halloween radio. It's the ultimate Halloween soundtrack for the season with spooky hits,
the Monster Man,
fun throwbacks, and all the essential Halloween anthems. Open the free iHeart app, search Halloween radio, and listen now.
iHeart Radio.
Free never sounded so good.
Perhaps the scariest thing this Halloween season for people who live in Waukesha County is a proposed 0.5% sales tax that goes before the Waukesha County Board tomorrow. Brief timeline on this, and it is very brief because this was just proposed by County Executive Paul Farrow on October 3rd. About 2 weeks ago, it passes a couple of board committees. There really wasn't much effort to inform the public about what the plans were. Nobody was talking, to my knowledge, at least not publicly, and certainly not to somebody like me, about plans to raise the sales tax by 0.5% on anybody who buys pretty much anything in Waukesha County. But that's how these things go. Joining me now on the phone, a resident of Waukesha County. He is also the president of the Young America's Foundation and the former governor of Wisconsin, Scott Walker. Sir, it is always great to have you on the program. How are you doing today?
Hey, Dan. Yeah, thanks for me on, and thanks for drawing attention to this important issue for anyone who lives in Waukesha County. Tonette and I live out in the town of Delafield in the west end of Pewaukee Lake, but probably more important than us, I think of my mother, who's an 85-year-old who lives downtown Waukesha, who still buys things over at the Dollar General and the Walgreens nearby down in the village. My brother and sister-in-law, who still have a daughter at Waukesha South, and all the things that they buy there in Waukesha County, and particularly my niece and her family. She's got a 3-year-old and a newborn, and I just think about all of them and all the other families, particularly seniors and young people, working families, that part of the benefit of being in Waukesha County is we don't have a sales tax, and I think for a lot of folks who move there, that was one of the big reasons.
One of the arguments that's being used to push this, though, sir, is that you would be able to essentially swap that tax for property tax relief, and that this would result in lowered property taxes for people in Waukesha County. What do you say to that?
Well, that unfortunately has been the myth that we've seen all across the state for decades. I mean, the statewide sales tax went up multiple times, each of those times with the promise of property tax relief. And what happened after initial drops was that property taxes continued to creep up while the sales tax not only stayed intact, but it went up multiple times at the statewide level. We've seen it with other counties that enacted the sales tax. There might have been a short-term drop, and then we see both the sales tax staying in place and then the property tax going up on top of it. So my view overall has been that unless you're going to eliminate a tax entirely, say like the statewide income tax, and replace it with a sales tax, if you just say one's going to go down, they eventually go up over time, and that's why it's a big, big warning sign. In the end, I just believe it's one of those where voters, taxpayers, hardworking people in Waukesha County and across the state want their elected officials to live within their means, in this case, live with the revenues that they have.
Given the truncated timeline of all of this, do you believe that there was an effort to not necessarily pull a fast one on taxpayers, but perhaps to get this passed in a very truncated timeline in the month where most people are focused on presidential politics, in an effort so as not to be able to galvanize opposition to it?
Well, I love the county executive. I like a lot of the people on the board. So I don't know about their intentions, but I do know there's no doubt whether it was intended or not. The bottom line is that most people, myself included, were focused on getting Donald Trump and J.D. Vance elected, getting Eric Hovde elected, making sure people know to vote yes for the statewide referendum that would keep citizens in the future being the ones who exclusively could vote in the state, not someone else. All of those things highly important coming up in just a few weeks. And so not much attention up until lately. And Dan, here's the real important thing, I think, timing-wise. County board was up this spring.
Yep. For re-election, yeah.
A few months ago, they were up for a re-election. Is this, to me, this is a pretty powerful change in not just whether you enact a tax or not, but in a county that historically has been one of the few in the entire state of Wisconsin to not have one. You've got people like me and Tonette and others who moved there for a lot of reasons, but one of which was they didn't have a sales tax, and now they are. That's something I think the voters should have had a chance to have a say on. If they wanted a supervisor who was going to vote for that, then the supervisors running should have told them that. But of course they didn't, because people wouldn't like that. And I think that tells you everything you need to know about why tomorrow night, at the minimum, they should vote to table this measure.
Do you think there is support for that? You said you're good friends with Paul Farrow. I count Farrow as a friend myself. We had him on for about a half hour's worth of grilling on this show, and he said that tabling the measure, well, we're deep in the budget process for 2025 and beyond, and we just, we can't risk this. We need to have this done now. But you've been talking to members of the board, I presume. Members of the board. Is there movement for tabling, which I think would be a pretty good compromise to let the people of Waukesha County sort of have their say in a couple of additional board meetings on this?
I know there's a number of key supervisors who are going to move forward with it. I think there's sound support in that regard, but it is a good reminder. I just posted on my social media again this morning at Scott Walker on X, or I'm on Facebook as well at Scott K. Walker. If people want to know, if you live in Waukesha County, you do business in Waukesha County, if you want to let people on the county board know, or just go to waukeshacounty.gov, click on departments, and then click on the county board, and there's all the names and email addresses and phone numbers. I think it's really important for people to let their county board supervisor know, because right now, most people don't know about it. And I think if they hear it, at a minimum, voting to table, obviously, I think it's a bad idea whether it's now or at some point in the future, but at least people should know. They didn't run on it just a few months ago. It just came up this month. People are obviously, rightfully so, preoccupied with the elections coming up. Give people a chance to have their say. I think most people are going to say, particularly when a lot of other places have big school board referendums. I live in the Heartland Arrowhead area. They've got a $300+ million referendum for a new school. There's a lot of things going on there that are going to add to the tax burden of people across Waukesha County.
And that's something that I think people need to consider as well, that there are local tax referenda that are either on the ballot or have just passed. I think pretty much everybody in Waukesha County, I know I have in the community I lived in, seen massive increases in the valuation of their property values, which almost necessarily coincides with an increase in property taxes, which is what I was really sort of trying to drill down on County Executive Farrow on, that people have already seen massive tax increases in a community that is in a county that has long prided itself on conservative governance and fiscal responsibility. And I think there are just a whole lot of taxpayers who are looking at this like you and I are, Scott, and saying, what's going on here? Why this sudden push to push an extra expense on us?
Particularly at a time when, unfortunately, because of the failed policies of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, we see gas when I go to the Quick Trip in Delafield, it's about $1.25 more than what I was paying 4 years ago. When I go to our grocery store, you can fill up a cart for what it costs you to fill up maybe 2 carts just 4 or 5 years ago when Trump was president. My son and the daughter-in-law have a home in Sussex, and I think about his new home builders, they're paying almost $1,000 more a month in mortgage payments that were higher than it was when Trump was president. So there's a lot of reasons why people are already paying too much. You add to that higher property taxes and a new sales tax, and I think that's, again, not what people expected when they grew up or moved into Waukesha County.
He is former Governor Scott Walker joining us on the Dan O'Donnell Show. Sir, thank you so much for lending your voice to this debate, which I think is needed, and I think the debate is worth having. That's why I think you and I both support the idea of just tabling this, get the pulse of Waukesha County, listen to the people, right?
Amen. I agree.
Scott, thank you so much for joining us. Really do appreciate it. You are listening to the Dan O'Donnell Show. We will check in with Dave Spano and also name the unhinged liberal of the day next.
Hi, I'm Mike Madsen, owner of Color Wheel Painting. I have a confession. In 20 years of business, Color Wheel has made a lot of mistakes. Too many to count. We even have some negative Google reviews. We don't pay to have them scrubbed. I remember unplugging an internet box and having a customer come flying down the stairs yelling at me. He was a day trader. I've chased a dog down the street because I never asked my customers if they had any escape artist pets. I've used the wrong bathroom, been too early, left too late, and the list goes on. But you know what? Color Wheel has made it 20 years because everyone here has learned from the mistakes made. Any problem became an opportunity. Any oversight became a process revision. And now I can confidently say Color Wheel Painting is the best choice for anyone seeking an overall great experience and great results for their painting project. So choose Color Wheel, Color Wheel Painting, colorwheelpainting.com.
I'm Ken, and I'm a former Trump voter. His disrespect for the military, for the people that serve in the military, and for his incessant lying, his total lack of character, there's no way that I could support him to be president of the United States again. As far as the choice to vote for Kamala Harris, absolute no-brainer. Absolute, total no-brainer. No hesitation from this lifelong Republican whatsoever.
Republican Accountability PAC, Inc., paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. ra-pac.org.
Honey, you're dusting again?
I can't keep up. It's crazy.
I don't want you to have to do that.
I hate it so much.
We need to call Capitol.
What do they do?
They clean your ducts with high-powered trucks.
That cuts the dust?
Cuts the dust.
Because our air is only going to get worse?
Now that our windows are closed for the season, yeah.
And the holidays are coming?
We don't want everybody sneezing all over the place. I'll call them.
Already got it.
Oh.
Yeah, Capital, please save us.
Our duct cleaning technicians are standing by
to get you ready for the holidays
and save you time and trouble. And kerosene. That's right. Cut the dust
and breathe cleaner air.
Capital does over 1,000 duct cleanings every year.
Yeah, now is the perfect time to get your ducts clean
before Capital's holiday rush starts.
Let Capital Heating, Cooling, and Electric save your holidays and clean your ducts today. Schedule online at callcapitalcares.com.
Sendix is doing the extraordinary, offering a free gift card on Saturday, October 26th at any of Sendix 14 area supermarkets. Purchase a $100 gift card using your Red Bag Rewards number and get a $15 gift card free. A free $15 gift card you can give as a gift or use it to buy that special seafood item, bottle of wine, or home decor item. A one-of-a-kind customer celebration, a free Sendix gift card. This Saturday only at any of Sendix 14 area stores. Sendix, your trusted local grocer.
Looking to upgrade your bathroom? Check out Bath Fitter. One-day installation, no demolition, no mess, and they're celebrating 40 years in business this year. Call 262-395-4925 to make your appointment with Bath Fitter today.
Just who is Peter Barca? Barca is a career politician we simply can't trust. We can't trust him to protect law enforcement because Barca raised money for an anti-police group that called our officers occupying soldiers. Can't trust Barca on the border either. He voted to support sanctuary cities putting violent criminals before our families. And while fentanyl floods our streets, Barca chose radical politics over our safety. Our veterans can't trust Peter Barca. He voted to cut the benefits they earned and deserve, endangering our families and communities, dishonoring our veterans. We just can't trust a career politician like Peter Barca.
I'm Brian Stile. I'm working to support families, stand with law enforcement, and honor our veterans. Families are struggling to afford the things that they need. That's why I'm working to lower costs and stop wasteful spending. I'm Brian Stile, and I approve this message because together we will get our country back on track.
Paid for by Style for Wisconsin.
Cybersecurity Awareness Month is still going strong, and LifeLock has a message about phishing. The scams cyber criminals use to trick victims into allowing access to their devices so they can steal your personal information. Being aware of potential phishing scams is one way to help protect your personal information. LifeLock alerts you to more uses of your personal information and fixes identity theft issues that arise. Start protecting your identity with a 30-day free trial at lifelock.com. Use my first name, Clay, as your promo code. Terms apply.
Opinion, emotion, passion. This is News Talk 1130 WISN.
iHeartRadio is the easy-to-use app for music and radio. Download the free iHeartRadio app today.
Smell on you. Cause you're mine. Put a smell on you. Cause you're mine.
I don't care who you are, this version of this Screamin' Jay Hawkins / Nina Simone classic bumps. I Put a Spell on You, the remix featuring Nina by Pretty Lights in the Dan O'Donnell Show bumper music rotation. I'm not sure if this is from a movie, producer Dave. I just heard it a couple of years ago and I knew it had to be mine. Speaking of theme songs, I think we've got a banger for the unhinged liberal of the day.
Make me crazy.
Trump is Hitler.
We are in pre-Nazi Germany.
Make me crazy.
All white people are racist.
Does that make me crazy?
Trump is dangerous because he's evil. America is over.
This will be a fun one because it involves me personally. Today's unhinged liberals of the day are the hacks over at Wisconsin Watch. They claim to be a news organization. Really, all they do is try to post left-wing tripe and do fact checks on people like me. Well, they just unveiled a big series on talk radio, focusing in particular on how yours truly spreads misinformation. They actually violated pretty much every tenet of journalistic integrity by interviewing me under false pretenses. They sent a UW-Madison student by the name of Andrew Schneider to reach out to me and say, hey, I'm interviewing you for a class project. Can you help me out? I said, sure. We didn't talk about anything having to do with misinformation. He never asked me anything about things that I might have gotten wrong. I thought this was an interview for a class project. Turns out that was a lie. The director of Wisconsin Watch, Matthew DeFore, just wanted to pretend that he talked to me for his hit piece. So remember, it's a piece on how I spread misinformation. Young Andrew interviewed me, I believe, on Super Bowl weekend because it's a big series on misinformation. The piece begins thusly. Conservative talk show host Dan O'Donnell on WISN in Milwaukee quickly shifted from discussing his lifetime support for the Kansas City Chiefs to sarcastically suggesting President Joe Biden didn't sit for a pregame interview due to his poor mental acuity. Producer Dave, who knows me very well, knows that, in fact, I have never rooted for the Kansas City Chiefs. Yes, I did go as Travis Kelce as part of a costume with my wife as Taylor Swift last year for Halloween. By the way, our costumes this year, I dare say, are fantastic. I have never rooted for the Kansas City Chiefs. When I was a kid, because I loved Jerry Rice and Joe Montana, I rooted for the San Francisco 49ers, who the Chiefs were playing in that game. So the piece on me spreading misinformation begins with misinformation about me. To say nothing about the fact that it took 10 months for these idiots to put this piece together, that incredible irony, spreading misinformation about Dan in a piece highlighting Dan's misinformation, makes the hacks over at Wisconsin Watch your unhinged liberals of the day. Joining me now is noted Chiefs fan and CEO of Annex Wealth Management, Dave Spano, on the totally, completely accurate Dan O'Donnell Show. How you doing, Dave?
You know I'm not a Chiefs fan. I'm Packers fan all the way in, but Mahomes, my man. I didn't know that you're such a Chiefs fan.
Yeah, who guessed? I mean, I'm a Green Bay Packers owner. I loved the 49ers when I was a kid. But yes, Kansas City Chiefs, I apparently cannot get enough. You know what? I'm actually getting a Kareem Hunt jersey. I'm ordering on Amazon as we speak.
Oh, you're all in, brother. All right, let me just tell you. I know you probably don't know this, but 2 weeks until the election. That's it. And as expected, we talked about how the markets rally into an election year. Well, true to form, up 24% year to date as expected. But the differences between these two candidates, as we all know, is so wide. But we're seeing what we call it the Trump trade or the Democratic trade, and they're both playing out. And so you think about who would do well under a Trump trade, and you think about U.S. versus non-U.S. You think about maybe not China, perhaps the NAFTA renegotiation, border security, deregulation. All of these things are rallying into the last 2 weeks, and those that Harris would benefit from. You think about EVs, more immigration. You think about cannabis stocks, food stamp stocks that would be beneficiary of those. Those are not. And so the stock market's a pretty good indicator. And so we're seeing this play out right now. But I would, as you know, it's going to be super close. 0.04% of all the votes cast. That was the difference in 2020. Yep. And so, folks, don't get complacent if you're on the red side, because the market's rallying, it's an indicator, and the polls are a indicator. But don't get complacent, and you know that, DOD.
Yeah, that's why I always say take all bits of data to try to determine where we're at. Stock market is one, polls is one, early votes, candidate behavior. That's what we do on our weekly podcast, The Difference. difference. Dave Spano and I talk about politics and economics and the intersection of the two using data, using logic, using reason, and using our brains, apparently much more so than Wisconsin Watch, to present you with accurate information. It's the difference. We're going to record the podcast right after this radio show. You can listen to it, and we hope that you subscribe and follow at iHeartRadio or wherever you listen to podcasts. You're listening right now to The Dan O'Donnell Show. Back after this.
News that's factual, fair, and balanced. This is continuing coverage on News Talk 1130 WISN, Milwaukee.
Good morning. I'm Ted Allen. Election day isn't for another 2 weeks, but voters across Wisconsin can start casting their ballots tomorrow. Local clerks say they're ready for people to vote. Turnout is expected to be high this year. The Wisconsin Elections Commission said there should be more than 2 million voters in Wisconsin. The state is, of course, a battleground state in the race for the White House, but there are also races for the U.S. Senate, the State House, and a constitutional amendment that would stop non-citizens from voting in future elections. Republican vice presidential nominee Senator J.D. Vance rallied supporters at the airport in Waukesha yesterday.
You know, the average Wisconsin family is spending $1,000 more per month to afford what they could have afforded when Donald Trump was president. The reason Kamala Harris is running away from her record and attacking Donald Trump is because she hasn't done a damn thing for the people in this room, and we can't let her forget it.
Vance also talked about his faith and the Democrats' view on abortion. The visit was Vance's fifth stop in Wisconsin. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says an apparent attempt on his life by a Hezbollah drone was a mistake. Officials say a drone launched from Lebanon targeted Netanyahu's house north of Tel Aviv Saturday. According to Netanyahu's office, the Prime Minister and his wife weren't in the building and there were no casualties. Checking the holiday automotive of Fond du Lac Sports scoreboard, after defeating the Houston Texans yesterday, the Packers next face the Jaguars next Sunday in Jacksonville. From the Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin News Center, I'm Ted Allen on Wisconsin's most listened to radio station, News Talk 1130 WISN.
I'm Brett Ochtenhagen, owner of Brett Ochtenhagen Seasonal Services. Freedom is a wonderful yet fragile ideal. Freedom empowers us to be great and do great things, individually and as a nation. As Americans, we are the stewards of freedom, and we are responsible for its preservation. This starts with voting. Voting is a privilege, and we are obligated to research and select leaders who stand for the promise of the American dream. Our choice for president cannot be driven solely by opposition to one candidate. And while not voting or choosing a third party is our right, we must ask, are these choices the best way to protect our freedoms? Our vote is precious. Let us remember that freedom is a privilege paid for by the lives of countless men and women who made the ultimate sacrifice. By making informed, selfless choices on Election Day, we honor their legacy and the legacy of freedom. From all the landscape experts at Brett Ochtenhagen Seasonal Services, may God bless you and may God bless America.
Opinion, emotion, passion. This is News Talk 1130 WISN. Here's the latest forecast from the Fox 6 weather experts.
Temperatures in the 50s this morning under clear conditions. Will be mostly sunny throughout your Monday with unseasonably warm temperatures pushing near 80 degrees. Southwest winds will be about 5 to 15 miles an hour. I'm Fox 6 meteorologist Lisa Michaels.
This report is sponsored by Coldwell Investment Group, the retirement specialists.
For over 30 years, Coldwell Investment Group, the retirement specialist, has been operating under a fiduciary standard of care, always putting our clients' interests first. We'd like to do the same for you. Give us a call at 262-522-4040 and listen Saturday at 10 a.m. to the Retirement Clinic.
They used water to restore your wood? No wonder you need us. Well, don't worry. This time we'll do it right. You see, water raises the grain of wood, warps it, and opens splits and glue joints. It's the enemy of finished furniture. And that's why we only remove your finish chemically. It's not the cheap way, but it is the best way. For the finest in furniture finishing and heirloom restoration, by golly, it's Malali. Mullally Furniture Finishing and Repair. Serving everywhere. Quality counts. MULLALY finishing.com. If you have a great piece and want to see if it's worth restoring, of course we can send someone out there. And no, we won't charge for the visit. We've been doing that for almost 50 years, along with pickups and deliveries, to get the beautiful piece that we restore back in your home safe and sound. And we'll guarantee your satisfaction to boot. So if you're looking for the finest in furniture finishing and heirloom restoration, by golly, it's Mullally. Mullally Furniture Finishing and Repair. We're no job's too small. Serving everywhere. Quality counts.
Hi, this is Nick from Metro Milwaukee Homebuyer. And if you want to sell your house fast for cash, contact us today. We are a local family business, A+ with the BBB, and we always treat you right. Visit MetroMilwaukeeHomebuyer.com to get your fair as-is cash offer today.
Today's Dan O'Donnell program is brought to you by Great Midwest Bank. Whether you're ready to buy, build, or renovate, Great Midwest Bank takes the stress out of paying for it. Get started today at GreatMidwestBank.com.
Don't you deserve health care you can count on? Well, you can count on United Healthcare with Medicare plans that fit your life today and as your needs change tomorrow. You can enjoy reliable coverage and low out-of-pocket costs with a Medicare Advantage plan from United Healthcare. United Healthcare Medicare Advantage plans. Made for Wisconsin. Trusted everywhere. The Medicare annual enrollment period ends December 7th, so go to uhc.com/Medicare today.
Cybersecurity Awareness Month is still going strong, and LifeLock has a message about phishing. The scams cyber criminals use to trick victims into allowing access to their devices so they can steal your personal information. Being aware of potential phishing scams is one way to help protect your personal information. LifeLock alerts you to more uses of your personal information and fixes identity theft issues that arise. Start protecting your identity with a 30-day free trial at LifeLock.com. Use my first name, Clay, as your promo code. Terms apply.
A wicked good time is waiting for you now inside the free iHeart app, and it starts with commercial-free Halloween radio. It's the ultimate Halloween soundtrack for the season with spooky hits,
They did the Monster Mash,
fun throwbacks, and all the essential Halloween anthems. Open the free iHeart app, search Halloween radio, and listen now.
iHeart Radio.
Free never sounded so good.
Be sure to listen to the Annex Wealth Management Investment Show Saturday mornings at 11 and Sunday afternoons at 1 on News Talk 1130 WISN. Annex provides its expertise to arm listeners with the knowledge and tools to invest wisely. Annex Wealth Management. Know the difference.
If you are searching for an island of decency in a sea of media corruption, you're in the right place. Wisconsin's most listened to radio station. News Talk 1130 WISN.
Sorry. As usual, I'm working on stuff while we are coming back from commercial break. Just finalizing an interview with Newsmax host, author, and my good friend, Bianca De La Garza. She is absolutely fantastic. She's going to be on the show at 9:35 tomorrow. We accidentally double booked former Governor Scott Walker. I had thought that Bianca was going to be on tomorrow. Turns out it was today. As usual, this is all producer Dave's fault, and that's how we run things on the Dan O'Donnell Show. No, it's like during election season, you just have no idea. Like, I could get an email in the next 15 minutes, hey, would you like to have Trump on tomorrow morning? And that's just how it goes. Remember, April 1st, April Fool's Day, I got a half-hour notice, hey, Trump wants to do radio in Wisconsin. Can you interview him live on your show at 9:06? It was about 8:30 in the morning. That's how much notice I got. In case you were wondering why we didn't really promote the fact that Donald Trump was coming on, because nobody knew about it. But as a result, I'm often juggling about 15 different things. The joys of live radio, ladies and gentlemen. You never actually know what is coming up next. You can always, though, count on the Fall Fortune Cash Contest. Each and every weekday, each and every hour between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. Central Time, we give you a chance to win $1,000. I want 3 days in a row of winners. We had one Thursday. We had one Friday. Let's make it 3 for 3 with a winner today. Word is grand this hour, G-R-A-N-D, grand. Win a grand by entering the word grand on our website at newstalk1130.com or WIBA.com. The Donald Trump at McDonald's incident is causing left-wing brains to explode. Kamala Harris claimed that she worked at McDonald's when she was in college, something that McDonald's itself could not actually prove. It could not verify. In a statement released yesterday, as former President Trump really raised awareness of this, he said a couple of weeks ago, look, I know she didn't work at McDonald's. She knows she didn't work at McDonald's. I'm going to go work at a McDonald's for 15 minutes so I can say that I worked at McDonald's longer than she did. Well, the way McDonald's works is that most of the stores are actually not run by McDonald's, but they're run by franchisees. So someone buys a McDonald's franchise. I am told, by the way, the cost just to buy one is at least $1 million. The franchise fee alone is massive. So it is a high bar to entry for McDonald's because those things just print money. McDonald's, in a statement yesterday, said, well, we don't have records that go as far back as the mid-1980s to prove whether Kamala actually worked either for us directly in a corporate-owned store or for a franchisee. We welcome her to do a shift as well. This was a very polite way, and it was incidentally in about paragraph 4 of a very good press statement from McDonald's navigating a pretty fraught issue. The last thing McDonald's wants is a lib boycott because they, quote unquote, normalized Trump by allowing him to work the drive-thru. And folks, it was about as good a photo op. And yes, idiots, it was a photo op. That's what campaigns do. They do political stunts in order to get attention in the media. You folks had no idea, or no problem, I should say, when AOC and her merry band of morons went down to the border, went down to Trump's cages, and filmed themselves weeping in an empty parking lot in front of a random fence. No issue with that stunt. Now Trump working at McDonald's, but this was so effective because Trump is a genuinely funny dude. Here's him working the drive-thru.
Trump! Well, that's a good-looking group. Hello, everybody. I'm having a lot of fun here, everybody. We'll take care of it.
I mean, just fantastic. He was the funniest part to me was he's working the fries. He's working the fry grill or whatever it is. And he says, I never touched the fries. No hands ever touched the fries. This was funny because Trump is a pretty well-known germaphobe. He doesn't really shake hands. I mean, he does now that he's been a presidential candidate. He used to just fist bump. He doesn't. He's very concerned about germs. You could tell the fact that someone else's hands were touching his McDonald's fries is probably something that bothered him for several decades. But they've got the little fry scooper where you do it. I've watched them before. Chances are Donald Trump does not go to McDonald's for himself. But he was very relieved, it seemed, that human hands never actually touched the fries. He was genuinely having fun doing what he was doing. He then went to the Pittsburgh Steelers game last night. I hate to say it, but they probably did make the right right move starting Russell Wilson. I thought it sucked. As much as, I've got lingering resentment over Justin Fields because he was the Bears quarterback, he just could not make the throws that Russell Wilson was making in the second half of that game. They just buried Aaron Rodgers and the Jets. Davante Adams, really no impact whatsoever. Not surprising, though, as he was just traded, and he caught a couple of balls by Rodgers. Real bad interception. Garrett Wilson, come on, man. No wonder they picked up Davante Adams. The ball hits him right in the chest. It pops straight up off his hands and gets picked off. You could tell this sort of thing has been frustrating Rodgers to no end. The reality is the Jets are just not a very good team at all, and no amount of late career magic from Aaron Rodgers is going to change that. But Trump is up in a skybox, and you knew it killed Mike Tirico and the NBC Sunday Night Football crew to have to mention that. They mentioned it exactly. They showed Trump exactly once in that press box, because I think they made the correct calculation that if they didn't, people like me would be saying, hey, Trump was there, why didn't you show him? You know doggone well, if Taylor Swift was there, they show her after every touchdown. They show every reaction. They would have shown Kamala Harris many more times. What they did not show, though, was Trump standing at the window, at the little balcony of the press box. The entire stadium, it seemed like, was facing him, chanting, USA, USA, USA. This is the sort of stuff that happens in winning campaigns. There's a sense of, dare I say, joy that is notably absent in losing campaigns. All the joy right now is on the Trump side. There was joy involved in going to McDonald's and working a shift. But according to CBS, it was a despicable stunt.
Former President Donald Trump put on an apron today to pull off a political stunt in Bucks County, Pennsylvania.
You want to give it a try? I do.
Working the fryer to try and claim without any evidence that Vice President Kamala Harris didn't work at a McDonald's while in college, as she said she did.
Actually, there's plenty of evidence that there's no evidence she didn't work at a McDonald's. In fact, all the evidence seems to be siding with Trump that she didn't. There's no record of her ever working at a McDonald's. What the campaign says, oh, yes, she did, and she pulls out some friend to say, oh, yeah, totally, I remember Kamala working at McDonald's. She has no former coworkers. You would think somebody would have come out of the woodwork and said, hey, yes, I worked with Kamala Harris because of how famous she is right now. No, this wasn't 80 years ago. That's right, Dave. It was the mid-'80s. It was 40 years ago. You would think there is somebody out there who said, yeah, I was Kamala's manager. A, she's got a unique name, which would stick with people. B, she became a very prominent political figure in California. You would think it came out earlier. It didn't. Is this ultimately relevant? Not really, but it does show the extent to which Kamala is an artifice. She is a creation. She is not genuine at all, and this speaks to sort of the very heart of her problem as a candidate. People just don't think they can trust her because it's impossible to know her, because nothing about her is actually genuine. Jonathan Capehart on his show on MSNBC took exception to Trump giving a woman an extra McNugget when she ordered a 6-piece McNuggets.
Trump also stopped by a McDonald's in Bucks County today, where he worked briefly as a fry cooker, without a hairnet, I might add. He also said he was paying for some of the meals. How is that not a campaign finance violation?
You are an absolute boob. That is not a campaign finance. He's paying for other people's meals. So when a candidate hosts an event and they pass out, I don't know, merch, is that a campaign finance violation? Is it a campaign finance violation when you go to a dinner for the campaign? When you go to a campaign fundraiser or a rally, I can't tell you how many of these dinners I've gone to. They serve you food for free. But the best reaction has to be this unnamed MSNBC analyst. I did not catch her graphic, her name when they put it on a graphic on the screen, saying Trump stopping and working at McDonald's is evidence of mental illness.
There's no logic to it. It's a stunt. He has not put forth an economic agenda. He, as you know, appears to be not well, and he's engaged in some really bizarre types of activities during this campaign. So this is just another one of those stunts that he will continue on through the campaign. And I think that we need to really focus on making sure that he is not elected, of course, because he is a threat to our democracy.
Yes, grave threat to our democracy, smiling and laughing with people in the drive-through lane. Good chat, MSNBC. Great content. Coming up later in the show, 24 reasons Trump will win from the guy Dems have always relied on to give them good news.
He's coming right back.
If you missed our 2024 iHeartRadio Music Festival, presented by Capital One. Las Vegas, make some noise!
Watch the best moments exclusively on Hulu right now.
All right, you guys are out for a party, I can tell.
See the biggest festival headliners from around the world assembled on one stage on one show.
This iHeart energy is so incredible. See it all at our 2024 iHeartRadio Music Festival, presented by Capital One.
Streaming only on Hulu right now.
Hey, it's Dan O'Donnell from Mander Collision and Glass, which really is the best decision you can make after a collision. But don't just take my word for it. You hear me talk all the time about how great Mander is. Here's customer Melissa, who writes, "This is the second vehicle we have had repaired at Mander, and we will keep coming back anytime it's needed. They kept me updated every step of the way and took care of car rental details, so I was never without transportation. I had a question after I left, and everything was answered. They don't just send you off with a hearty handshake. They stand behind their work with a lifetime warranty, and customer service is absolutely top notch." That's right, Melissa, and that's why I have been recommending Mander and been a loyal Mander customer for so many years. Now with 7 locations to serve you. Start your repair today at mandercollision.com. Mander really is the best decision after a collision.
Sendix is doing the extraordinary, offering a free gift card on Saturday, October 26th at any of Sendix 14 area supermarkets. Purchase a $100 gift card using your Red Bag Rewards number and get a $15 gift card free. A free $15 gift card you can give as a gift or use it to buy that special seafood item, bottle of wine, or home decor item. A one-of-a-kind customer celebration, a free Sendix gift card. This Saturday only at any of Sendix 14 area stores. Sendix, your trusted local grocer.
Do you think our country's going in the right direction, or does it feel like everything's falling apart? If you're a bit concerned, you're not alone. In fact, Americans from all walks of life have taken action to prepare for whatever's coming next. And that starts with having an emergency food supply. Storing food in your home is the right thing to do, because we're living in crazy times, which explains why so many people are preparing. Right now, you can get ready too with a 3-month emergency food kit from My Patriot Supply. It comes with delicious foods like creamy stroganoff, honey wheat bread, and mushroom rice pilaf, all offering over 2,000 calories every day. Their food kit lasts up to 25 years. Who knows what our country will look like then? But when that day comes, you'll be ready. Go to MyPatriotSupply.com now to order your 3-month emergency food kit from My Patriot Supply. Go to MyPatriotSupply.com right now.
I'm looking for a job, and I've always wanted to work at McDonald, but I never did. I'm running against somebody that said she did, but it turned out to be a totally phony story. So.
That is former President Trump walking into a McDonald's. Can we call him McDonald Trump? asking for a job. This is Music Box by Eminem. Do yourself a favor. Do not Google the lyrics. This was in Eminem's kind of really, really weird, I'm going to pretend to be a serial killer phase. No, the song is called Music Box. No, this was in probably 15 years ago. I just love that beat. I think it's like a perfect horror movie beat. In the Dan O'Donnell Show, Halloween bumper music rotation. A reminder, we begin the state's largest early vote drive tomorrow. Producer Dave, have you been keeping up with all of the people texting in right now saying that they have turned in their absentee ballots? Here's just a small example. Hi, Dan. My wife Nancy and I voted at the Hartford City Hall. We mailed in ballots 3 weeks ago. Me, my wife, my 18-year-old son, and my 97-year-old father. That's fantastic. Hi, Dan. My wife and I voted absentee by mail last week in Trempealeau County. All three of those texts, ladies and gentlemen, are from people who have never before texted in. That means they've never before taken part in the state's largest early vote drive. We have a program that can see basically the history, and a lot of people, a lot of you, I love it, text all the time. We've got long threads. I try to reply when I can. Rest assured, I try to read as many. The texts come in way too fast and furious. I can't get to all of them, but emails, I try to read every single one. And we have got, I would guess right now, 45 to 50 just today. And I have no idea, because the way you take part in the state's largest early vote drive is you tell me who you went to go vote with you. I went with my wife. I went with my son. That's 4 early votes for Donald Trump. We want you to vote for Eric Hovde. We want you to vote yes on the referendum. Yes, only citizens should be allowed to vote in Wisconsin's elections. And this is not just an idle concern. This morning, I received relatively disturbing information from someone who works as a poll worker in Oconomowoc. He tells me both he and his wife are election inspectors. During our training, he said, we were informed that non-citizens may attempt to vote using their driver's license. This is very hard to catch at the polls when people vote, unless you know that limited term printed on a license means non-citizen. That's right, they don't even print non-citizen on the license. They print limited term. And if you're looking at a Wisconsin driver's license, it will be right above your sex, weight, and height. So right next to the big picture, there are now 2 pictures on the driver's license. Right below your address, it will say in all caps, limited term. Why would you put that on a license instead of non-citizen? Oh, well, Dan, we don't want a police officer to start asking questions if someone is here illegally, and we don't want them to be deported. We don't want them turned over to ICE, sanctuary cities, and so forth. The real reason, I suspect, is that driver's license can very easily be used for a non-citizen to vote. Also, this election inspector tells me, while a driver's license number is needed to register to vote, the voter does not need to present the driver's license card when they register. This means it is impossible to know if a person is a citizen or not when they register the day of an election. Now, I'm not necessarily sure, since you need to provide photo ID in order to vote. But where this would come in is if someone registers to vote, let's say same day, right? But then they say, oh, you know what? I don't want to vote right now. They don't have to show the driver's license. At least that's what this election inspector is telling me. They can come back later, or would someone even notice the limited term language on that license? What's the safeguard for non-citizens voting in our elections? This is why this constitutional amendment is needed, because it's clear Democrats want non-citizens voting in elections. How do I know this? Because they have passed such municipal ordinances in San Francisco, Oakland, Washington, D.C., a number of communities in Maryland, in Vermont, pretty much everywhere that you've got overwhelming majorities of far-left libs. They have tried to get non-citizens voting in municipal elections. Would you believe that under the Wisconsin Constitution, it is theoretically possible to allow non-citizens to vote? In fact, there is no federal constitutional prohibition because, remember, states actually run their own elections. So while the Constitution and federal law can prohibit non-citizens being prohibited to vote in congressional, Senate, and presidential elections, they could clearly vote for governor. States have the autonomy to run their elections as they see fit. This is very troubling information, and I am encouraging everyone who is working as a poll worker, as an election inspector, as somebody who is responsible for checking licenses. And this is why I certainly hope the Trump campaign and the national and state Republican Party have a lawyer in every polling place where this sort of issue might arise. We have got 11.5 to 12.5 million people who were imported into this country in just the last 3 years, many of whom now have driver's licenses, have state-issued ID cards, that very easily could be used to vote. It is illegal. It is not legal under federal law for someone to vote as a non-citizen in the presidential election. However, it wouldn't be found until much later, if at all. It's actually remarkably difficult to find election fraud. Forbearance is the watchword. And what is it? The price of freedom is eternal vigilance. Is that the old saying? Was it Ben Franklin? Probably attributed to Ben Franklin, but actually said by somebody else. This needs to be monitored very closely. And I am going to be calling the Wisconsin Elections Commission. I think I'll shoot a call over to Bob Spindell about what's going on with this. How can we safeguard this election from non-citizens, legal and illegal voting? If you're a non-citizen, if you are not an American citizen, you have no right to vote. You don't need to be a natural-born citizen like you do to run for the presidency, to vote for the presidency, but you do have to be a citizen. I'm not saying this is where a whole lot of fraud in Wisconsin is coming from. I'm just saying this is a potential weakness. How many poll workers will know limited term means non-citizen and thus ineligible to vote? Nate Silver, of all people, presents 24 reasons Trump will win the presidential election. That's next.
Hi, I'm Mike Madsen, owner of Color Wheel Painting, and I'm often asked, what does Color Wheel do? Well, I'll tell you. Color Wheel Painting puts smiles on people's faces. Color Wheel puts you, your spouse, your kids, your pets at ease with its approachable, shockingly normal, easy to get along with staff. Color Wheel makes the time to answer your questions. Color Wheel returns calls, emails, text messages, and we do it quickly because Color Wheel knows you're busy and need answers. That's right, we're reachable, communicative, proactive, and accountable. Color Wheel is dedicated to giving you wonderful service and results. We work with you, not against you, and Color Wheel always makes things right when the occasional thing goes wrong, and that matters. We run from nothing. Color Wheel Painting. We're 20 years in, a track record to trust. We do fantastic things. Oh, and we paint. Color Wheel Painting, colorwheelpainting.com.
For more information about contests on News Talk 1130 WISN, go to newstalk1130.com/rules.
Dan O'Donnell here for my amazing friends at Built Right Furniture. It's the final days of Built Right's 96th anniversary mattress celebration. Their one location saves you time and saves you money. They make it easy to shop and easy to buy. Built Right beats any big box national or local chain store, department store, employee free store, online retailer, or warehouse club because they have the guaranteed lowest prices. Built Right has the best value, selection, service, and experienced team in Wisconsin. Over 60 models and 500 mattresses in stock. Choose from the best mattress brands made in the USA. Heirloom, Gold Bond, Therapeutic, Restonic, and Schiffman. Built Right specializes in hard-to-find, flippable, two-sided, and heavy-duty mattresses that hold up to 600 pounds. Built Right always saves you money. Shop Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Sunday, they're closed to be with family. Tell them Dan sent you to Built Right at 54th and Layton in Greenfield.
Well, that's why you have to check out our website. We're pretty proud of our before and after photos because they show off just how good we really are. I can confidently say that whatever you bring us, we're going to use every bit of magic we have to turn it into a one-of-a-kind work of art. So if you're looking for the finest in furniture finishing and heirloom restoration, by golly, it's Mullally. Mullally Furniture Finishing and Repair. Serving everywhere. Quality counts. MULLALY finishing.com. If it's worth restoring, we're going to tell you. If it's not worth the cost of restoring, then we're going to give you an honest answer. You don't stay in the furniture finishing business for nearly 50 years unless you're honest and talented. Luckily, we're both. And that means all of your expectations will be met. So if you want only the finest in furniture finishing and heirloom restoration, by golly, it's Mullally. Mullally Furniture Finishing and Repair. We're no job's too small. Serving everywhere. Quality counts.
It's a bully that will not let up until you do something about it. And the worst part is that the bullying happens when you're at your most vulnerable. You might as well have your hands tied behind your back while that bully puts one hand over your mouth and pinches your nose with the other. He'll let up, let you catch your breath, and then he'll do it again. Sleep apnea is a bully. Not long ago, we heard our friend John tell you about how his bully was stopping his breathing in his sleep over 145 times an hour. Think about what that can do to your body's organs. It's no wonder that the snowball effects of long-term obstructive sleep apnea are heart disease, stroke, even depression and anxiety. But this problem is solvable, and we have solutions, and you'll be surprised at how simple they are.
To date, Advent has solved over 40,000 breathing triangle problems. It's time to put that bully in his place. Go to adventknows.com to schedule your appointment because Advent knows. When you breathe well, you live better. Results may vary.
Questions you might hear a lot this fall. Will my team make the playoffs? How much snow are we getting this winter? And whatever happened to Tammy Baldwin? After 25 years in D.C., Baldwin sides with the extreme left. Baldwin voted to give nearly $1 billion in COVID relief money to criminals in prison, even the Boston Marathon bomber. That's nuts. And she supports forcing women's domestic violence shelters to admit biological men who claim to be women. Baldwin even backed puberty blockers and sex change surgeries for minor children in Wisconsin. So here's one more question. Now that Baldwin's gone so far left, why should we keep her in the Senate? It's time to replace Tammy Baldwin. Senate Leadership Fund paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. www.senateleadershipfund.org.
The next time you're due for service, visit richlands.com to schedule an appointment at any of our 5 conveniently located facilities.
All AAA approved and all staffed by ASE certified technicians ready to serve you.
Richlands. BlueMountainExpress.com. We will improve your move.
Stay
statewide.
I'm Julian Edelman.
I'm Rob Gronkowski.
Welcome to Dudes on Dudes. We're going to highlight players, and we're just going to sit here and talk about them. And we'll get into the types of dudes. Is Randy Moss a stud or a freak? Is Tom Brady a dog or a dude's dude?
We're gonna find out, Jules. New episodes drop every Thursday during the NFL season.
Listen to Dudes on America's #1 podcast network, iHeart. Open your free iHeart app and search Dudes on Dudes to start listening.
Classical conservatism, contemporary style. It is the Dan O'Donnell Show. Still battling chronic hoarseness. Soccer related. Mondays are always tough. When does soccer end? That's a good question. It technically never really does, because you go right into the indoor season after outdoor ends. Do you realize they're playing outdoor soccer games until like November 9th? High school, and also my daughter's team, the team she plays on that I don't coach, they've got a game November 9th. She's 10, yes. Well, it's more an issue. Yeah, it's a club team. It's more an issue of just when you can get, field space, referees, rainouts. That's it exactly, Dave. But the season pretty much wraps up in earnest November 2nd. But then we go right into indoor. And while there are no real practices, there are games every single week. Oh, yeah, it's year-round soccer. Yes, exactly. Nate Silver, since 2012, has been the guy that Democrats turn to when they're freaking out about elections. He was the one in 2012 who was saying even when Mitt Romney got a substantial lead in the Gallup daily tracking, upwards of 6-7 points, he was saying, no, look, the fundamentals favor Obama. The polling is going to be Obama plus whatever it was. And he actually became very famous because he predicted how every single state was going to vote. He got 2016 wrong, of course, but was back in 2020 and more or less accurate. This year, he is very bullish on Trump and very bearish on Kamala Harris's chances. Yesterday, he published in his Silver Bulletin newsletter, he is no longer with the organization he formed, 538. He is now off on his own. He was let go from the Disney company, ABC and ESPN in a cost-cutting move, I believe, about a year and a half ago. He has put together 24 reasons why Donald Trump will win the election. My point in this is to not make you overly confident, but to tell you that the data is there. You can make a very compelling, emotion-free, data-driven case for Trump's victory. Harris, he writes, here's reason one. She's the favorite to win the popular vote, but the Electoral College bias favors Republicans by about 2 percentage points. In an era of intense partisanship and close election, this is inherently difficult for Democrats to overcome. 2, inflation hit a peak of 9.1% in June 2022. It has abated now, but prices remain much higher than when Joe Biden took office, and voters are historically highly sensitive to inflation. Democrats can also plausibly be blamed for it, given intensive increases in government spending during COVID recovery efforts. 3, though the reasons for this are much debated, voter perceptions about the economy lag substantially behind objective data, and growth in take-home income has been sluggish for many years for the working class amid rising corporate profits. 4, Incumbent parties worldwide are doing very poorly, and the historical incumbency advantage has diminished to the point where it may now be an incumbency handicap, instead given perpetually negative perceptions about the direction of the country. 5. Populism is often a highly effective strategy, and many Trump voters are indeed deplorable in the Hillary Clinton sense of the term. 6. Illegal and unauthorized immigration increased substantially during the first few years of the Biden-Harris administration amid a rising global backlash to immigration. 7. Harris ran far to her left in 2019, adopting many unpopular positions, and doesn't really have a viable strategy for explaining her changing stances. 8. The cultural vibes are shifting to the right, and the left continues to pay a price for the excesses of 2020 on COVID, crime, wokeness, and other issues. 9. Voters have nostalgia for the relatively strong economic performance in the first 3 years of Trump's term and associate the problems of 2020 with Democrats, even though they weren't in charge at the time. Disagree? They ran Congress. 10. Democrats' dominance among black voters and other racial and ethnic minority groups is slipping. It may be unfortunate timing. The memory of the civil rights era is fading. Educational polarization, which implies deteriorating Democratic performance among working-class voters of all races, may also be coming to dominate other factors. It's possible this works out well for Democrats if Harris makes corresponding gains among white voters who pack more leverage in the Electoral College, but there's no guarantee. 11. Many men, especially young men, feel lost amidst declining college enrollment, contributing to a rightward shift and growing gender gap. 12. Biden sought to be president until he was 86. Voters had extremely reasonable objections to this, and it neuters what should have been one of Harris's best issues about Trump's age and cognitive fitness. 13. Harris also got a late start to her race, inheriting most of the staff from the poorly run Biden campaign. She's proven to be a good candidate in many respects, but it's always a big leap when the understudy is suddenly thrust into the spotlight. 14. Harris is seeking to become the first woman president. In the only previous attempt, undecideds broke heavily against Hillary Clinton, and she underperformed her polls. 15. Trust in media continues to fall to abysmal levels. One can debate how to attribute blame for this between long-standing conservative efforts to discredit the media, a secular decline in trust in institutions, and various overreaching and hypocrisy in the press. But it's hard for even legitimate Trump critiques to penetrate the mass public. Trump's conviction on a series of felony charges hardly made any difference, for instance. In fact, I have got a much longer piece on that. The spectacular backfire of the lawfare against Trump, which I think explains a whole lot of what has gone on since and why Democrats have seemed lost. 16. Trump has traits of a classic con man, but con artistry is often effective, and Trump is skilled at convincing voters that he's on their side, even if his election would not be in their best interest. Furthermore, Trump presents Democrats with a Three Stooges syndrome problem, a range of plausible attacks so vast that they tend to cancel one another out. Now, here I'll interject and say, who is Silver primarily writing this for? A Democrat audience. He himself is a Democrat. What I believe he is doing here is attempting to provide a soft landing for them, to explain, okay, guys, hey, this was what Harris was running against. Let's not freak out when what I think he is believing to be the inevitable happens. 17. Democrats' college-educated consultant class has poor instincts for how to appeal to the mass public, while Trump has done more to cultivate support among weird marginal voting groups. Again, written for Democrats, doesn't get weirder than the men who think they're women, women who think they're puppies, and the like. 18. Democrats' argument that Trump is a critical threat to democracy is valid and important given January 6th and Trump's broad disrespect for the rule of law. But it's a tough sell. Ultimately, January 6th was a near miss. It could very, very easily have been much, much worse, and Democrats hold the White House, the Senate, and many key governorships now. It isn't intuitive to voters that democracy is threatened, and Democrats may have staked too many chips on this line of attack. 19. Foreign policy might not matter much to voters, but the world has become more unstable under Biden's tenure. There has been a decline in democracy worldwide and an increase in interstate conflict, crises in the Middle East and Ukraine, deteriorating U.S.-China relations, increasing immigration flows because of global instability, and a pullout from Afghanistan that negatively impacted Biden's popularity. 20. The Israel-Hamas war split the Democratic base in a way no comparable issue has split the GOP base. 21. There are more left-leaning third-party candidates than right-leaning ones, and the former leading third-party candidate, RFK Jr., endorsed Trump and undermined Harris's post-convention momentum. 22. The richest man in the world, Elon Musk, has become a huge Trump stan and is doing everything in his power to tip the election to him. Twitter X remains an influential platform among journalists, but has shifted far to the right. Elon and Silicon Valley have also created a permission structure for other wealthy elites to advocate for Trump explicitly and provided a new base of money and cultural influence. Let me interject very quickly there. That is really telling. Twitter used to be dominated by the left, and it used to be the left's strategy to try to bully people like Elon Musk into not openly supporting Republicans, but it's no longer working. 23. Trump was very nearly killed in an assassination attempt, and there was a second one against him. The first attempt was closely correlated with an increase in favorability ratings for Trump, and polling shows he's considerably more popular and sympathetic than in 2016 or 2020. And finally, Harris has been running on vibes and has failed to articulate a clear vision for the country. It might have been a good strategy if the fundamentals favored her, but they don't. That from Nate Silver yesterday in his Silver Bulletin newsletter. Written by a Democrat for Democrats, I think, attempting to explain to Democrats why Harris might be headed for a historic loss. This is the Dan O'Donnell Show, and we will be right back.
If you're someone who hears love and thinks about a quarterback instead of romance, you're primed to listen to Green Bay Grapevine on WISN. Before and after every game, hard-boiled reporter Mark Daniels tells Jay Weber and his morning show audience about all of the trends and subtleties swirling around the green and gold.
Green Bay Grapevine is presented by Bob's Glass in Waukesha, featuring installation of glorious glass shower doors. If it's anything glass, think Bob's Glass. Bobs-glass.com.
Jay Weber here. If you're someone who's experiencing shoulder, spine, hip, knee, or musculoskeletal pain and a total joint replacement might be in your future, think Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. Find them at orthowisconsin.com. At Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin, their physicians are committed to providing the highest quality of joint care and specialize in same-day total joint replacements at their own ambulatory surgery center in Pewaukee. You can find them at orthowisconsin.com. Orthowisconsin.com. Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. There is a difference.
Landlords, property flippers, DIY, ladies and gentlemen. The in-stock vinyl window selection that you'll find at Lisbon Storm Screen and Door, get this, is larger than 5 big box stores combined. No waiting 4 to 6 weeks. When you need a solid value on vinyl windows, and you need them now, we have what you need today. And at the hands-down best prices you'll find, because we buy a ton of them. We know the demand is there, and we get ahead of the game so you can save big. We have more sizes than anyone, and if you need custom sizes or different colors or grids, we can take care of your needs. Now, these are value windows, but don't forget we also carry the highest quality Marvin windows in stock in more sizes and color combinations than anyone. We cater to every price point. This is David Wilhelm with Lisbon Storm Screen and Door. Come see what's in store, because we are without a doubt your clear choice for more.
Your clear choice for more. Lisbon Storm Screen and Door.
Find out more at lisbonstorm.com.
This is Michael Lynch from Lynch Truck Center. For the first time ever, Lynch Truck Center is having a massive construction sale on over 400 in-stock trucks, which include Chevrolet, GMC, Kino, and Isuzu. You will not want to miss it. We're adding parking, 7 more truck bays, and expanded parts storage, so we can better serve you, our customer. Did you know our experienced sales staff sold more Chevrolet medium-duty trucks and cab overs than all the other dealers in the state combined? With their knowledge on upfits, combined with our service department, we deliver turnkey vehicles for your business, including the right body for your application, bin packages, and even lettered when it's delivered right to your door. As a business owner, has managing your fleet grown into a full-time job? Our fleet department can help. We provide a free fleet analysis which guides you when to trade, help track expenses for maintenance, fuel, and even vehicle tracking. You'll be shocked on the money and time you can save, not to mention having new vehicles under warranty. Visit lynchtruckcenter.com and give us a shot. We won't disappoint you.
The socialists who want to move into the White House have a lot of plans for your money. One of them is to control the price of food, and this is just the start. Could 401ks and IRAs be next on their agenda? It might sound far-fetched, but so did price fixing just months ago. Hi, Donald Trump Jr. here. If you've spent decades building your nest egg, you can act now to stop your savings from falling into the hands of the socialists. It's why Americans are turning to gold, the ultimate safe haven in uncertain times. To see how easy it is to diversify your retirement with gold, get a free info kit from my friends at Birch Gold by texting the word PROTECT to 989898. Birch Gold makes it easy to roll over your 401k or IRA into gold while preserving your tax advantage status. Don't wait any longer. Protect your financial future now. Text PROTECT to the number 989898 for your free info kit from Birch Gold, the only gold company I trust.
Paid for by Birch Gold Group. This October only, WeatherTide's buy one, get one 40% off on all windows, entry doors, and patio doors is here. Get more style, more comfort, and more savings by visiting WeatherTideCorp.com.
The team at Klaus Roofing Systems by Buck Buckley will wow you. We show up on time, we do the job right the first time, and communicate with you through the entire process. For a free estimate, visit KlausRoofingByBuck.com. Put a Klaus on your house.
Tune in every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. as Ellen Becker Investment Group highlights local people and organizations who are using their time and their talents to give back to make a difference in our community. Milwaukee's philanthropic community. Visit ellenbecker.com to learn more.
When Flawless Flooring installs luxury vinyl plank, hardwood, modern laminate, or carpeting, I personally guarantee your satisfaction with every step from shopping through installation. I'm Flawless Flooring's president, Dave Brownsdorf, and I approve this message. Sensory Underload Flawless Flooring. FlawlessFlooringLLC.com.
Portions of the following program were pre-recorded.
Of Tubular Bells, the theme song from what I consider to be the greatest horror movie ever made, The Exorcist, by Kieran Raven, DJ, who's done a number of great remixes of Halloween tunes. I believe I am going to put up a Dan O'Donnell Show Halloween bumper music playlist. Sorry, bosses at iHeartRadio, it's going to have to be on Spotify since I have yet to be able to get an iHeartRadio premium account. You know what? I stupidly signed a new contract a couple of years ago and did not include that as a stipulation. That is my fault. I need a better agent, is what I'm talking about. However, my financial loss just may be your financial gain. Ladies and gentlemen, I am proud to announce we had a winner in the 9 o'clock hour of our Fall Fortune Cash Contest. Felicia in Milwaukee was listening. She entered the keyword and she won $1,000, saying it's good because we record when we call you and tell you you won. Can you play it on the air? Producer Dave, all right, here's Felicia.
Oh, my God. You know what? I could just kiss you. I had a dental bill for my cat that was over $1,000. I could just kiss you.
Oh, my goodness. That is awesome. Congratulations, Felicia. You see, even the cat ladies are listening to Dan. They support Trump Vance. Felicia, that's awesome. And that's what we love to hear with this contest. People who really need the money. I'm glad. I hope your cat, I hope Mr. Snuggles is okay, Felicia. If his name actually is Mr. Snuggles, that would be the biggest win of all time. Please ask her. Yes, I want to know what the cat's name is that is going to. Now, is the cat gonna like show up with gold teeth? Is she gonna get like Kanye West? Didn't he put diamonds in his teeth one time? Is Mr. Snuggles just gonna roll up like a G with some straight up grills looking like 50 Cent? Oh my goodness. You're gonna be surprised by this. Now, as Wisconsin Watch noted, I am a lifelong Kansas City Chiefs fan. Still hilarious that they open a massive series into how I spread disinformation by spreading disinformation about me. I am actually a lifelong fan of the Green Bay Packers. This is the first time in a long time I didn't watch a single minute of that Packer game yesterday. I was coaching. Well, it was more, Dave, that I was coaching a girls' soccer tournament all day Sunday, and we were just out on the field. Beautiful day. The kids were playing on the playground in between. The parents were kind of, sitting around chatting. They did a great job. It was out in Brookfield. They grilled out. They had burgers and hot dogs. Just an absolutely beautiful day. Great tournament. A lot of fun. I taped the game and I was like, I got home. I'm like, I kind of want to watch. And also, yes, I did have a fantasy basketball draft with my brother and some old friends. Yes, that's how much of a fantasy game degenerate I am. I don't just do football. I do basketball as well. Thanks, everyone, for listening. State's largest early vote drive starts tomorrow.